Yeah, welcome back to my class again today. Now, today we are going to look at the final part of the four principles of object-oriented programming in Python. So we've looked at inheritance, we've looked at polymorphism, and we have also looked at abstraction. So in this class today, we want to look at encapsulation. This class is going to be very brief because I've actually done this concept of encapsulation when I was showing you access modifier. Now, um, what is encapsulation? A class is a user-defined prototype, right, um, for an object. So this class has two things inside it. It has what? The data member, and then it also has the method. Now, this data member is actually uh, invisible to what? To the outside environment. But the method is visible to the outside environment. So you can actually access the data member through the method. So we can now say that the data member is encapsulated by what? By the method inside the class. So that is basically the concept of encapsulation. So that is what I want to show you in this last class, which is what? Encapsulation. So this is the fourth principle. Now, we are just going to write a simple program, which you probably will have written before. And that will be what? So we create a class man, right? And then we say define double underscore init double underscore, and then we say self, and we're expecting what? Name. Now, inside this, we are now going to say self dot accessing the attribute. Now, this attribute, we are going to protect it. It's going to be a private attribute so that it will not be accessible from outside of this class. Now, we are going to use double underscore, right? And then we'll say name. And we assign this name to it. All right? So this is the argument that you're going to receive. Now, that will come in here, and then it will be stored inside this attribute of the class, right? Then, now this is done. I can equally now come here and say, define another method, right? And I will say woman inside this self, right? Then I will say return what? Self dot double underscore name. So that is what I want this method to do. So when I call this method from outside, this method is simply going to access this attribute and return the value that is stored inside it. Now, we've created our class man, and we've defined one init method that is expecting a name. And then we have another method inside this class that is going to return the value of this. So this, because it's a private attribute, this is protected from outside the environment. So you cannot access this from outside this class. But this one is inside the class, so you can access it. So we are going to instantiate this class by creating an object for it. So we'll say, let's say object. Then for this class, we are calling the constructor. And then this constructor is going to accept one parameter, which is what? Adam. Right? Now, we are going to use this object to call this one. But if you try to call it, it will throw us an error. So if I say object, right, dot double underscore name, and I say object dot woman. Now, by the time I create the object for this class, right, this object will be given to self, while this Adam will be given to name. Then it will go in. And then this underscore name is the attribute that is stored inside the class. So this name is assigned to this. Now, that is private. You are not supposed to be able to access it from outside. Now, this is outside. So this one, now, here I will simply say print. Here I will say print, right? Then I'll call the object dot underscore name. And here I will say print. I'll call the object dot woman, right? Now, by the time I run this script, this one will give me error, right? Why this one will print out if, will print out Adam, right? So this one will print out Adam. So since I use woman method, I use woman method inside my class. So I'm going to change this name to what? To if. That is it. So this one will print out if, right? So this if will be given to name and then it will be stored here. Now trying to access this private attribute from outside is going to throw me an error. But you know, I told you under access modifier that looking at this, Python does not really implement encapsulation because I still can access this name by a concept known as name mangling, right? So through name mangling, I can access it. Because what Python simply did was what? To change this one, right, to the name. So when I now say object, when I now do this, when I now say object dot, and then I say man, right, double underscore name. This one will still print out if. So I can do this by just changing my script. So what that means is that Python does not really implement encapsulation in the real sense of it. It's only left for the programmer not to try to access the protected attribute, which is the private attribute inside the class by using name mangling. That is the only thing that will prevent you from accessing it. But once I do this, I'll be able to access the attribute. So Python doesn't really implement it. So let's go to the PyCharm and let me demonstrate this for you to see. And then we've concluded the 4 principles of object-oriented programming. So in the next class, I will teach you interface. So let's go to PyCharm. All right, so this is our PyCharm. Now we are going to look at encapsulation. So first, let's create encapsulation file and then encapsulation.py. Okay, enter. So what did we do? We just create a class man, and then we define the init method, and then we give it just one parameter, name, and then here we say self, right, dot double underscore name as the attribute that is going to hold that name. Then we assign name to it. Okay. Now we created another method, def, we call it woman, and then self. So here we say print, we simply say, print self dot underscore name, right? So that's what we have here. Now we are going to instantiate this class. We are going to instantiate the class. We can say female, then we call the man constructor, and then we supply if to it. Now we've created our class female. So this female will be given to self, and if will be given to name, and then it will go in and store the name inside this place. But this double underscore shows that this attribute is private, meaning it is protected from outside the environment. So now, if we try to access it from outside by saying print, right, and then we say female dot underscore name, right? This will give us error because it will tell us this attribute name does not exist. That's what it's going to tell us. Now watch. Now you see man object has no attribute underscore name. That is what it's saying. But if we call, let me just comment this out. Then yeah. So if we call this, if I say female dot woman, now what will it give me? It's going to give me if. It will print out if. Now you can see it's showing me if. It means that calling this print outside of this class is not going to allow you to access the attribute because it is protected. This is a private attribute inside the class that should not be accessed by anybody outside the class. So that is what this does. It means that this woman has encapsulated this name. That is simply what it does. But like I said, using name mangling, you can actually access it. Python doesn't actually prevent you from doing so. So if I come here and I say underscore man, right? This will also print out if. So this one will print out if, this will print out if. So when I do this, see, if, meaning I can still access it from outside. So in real sense, Python does not implement encapsulation in the actual sense of it because you can always find your way around. So it is left for the programmer not to do that. So that is what I have to show you in this class. Don't forget to like this video. So till we see in the next class, bye-bye.